Robert Pires looked less like a footballer and more like a choreographer. He drifted across the grass with a distinctive high-kneed gait, dismantling defenses with a technical precision that suggested he was playing a much slower, easier game than everyone else. His career reached the absolute ceiling of the sport. He was a World Cup winner, a European champion, and was eventually voted the 6th greatest player to ever wear an Arsenal shirt. But that image of the effortless artist is only a partial truth. The highlight reels omit the years of isolated rehabilitation and the repeated physical trauma that threatened to cut his peak short. To understand the actual depth of his career, we have to look past the trophies and at the 3 specific moments where his time at the top was supposed to end. In 2000, Pires arrived at Arsenal with the near impossible task of replacing Marc Overmars, a winger who had just left for a world record fee. His start was indifferent. Accustomed to the more technical rhythm of French football, he publicly struggled with the intensity of the Premier League, eventually telling the media that the English game was far too physical for his style. He spent his first season recalibrating. Rather than trying to survive physical duels, he leveraged his wide playmaking skills to bypass them entirely, using his vision to move the ball before defenders could ever make contact. This shift in approach turned him into a specialist in the North London derby. He began a sequence of 5 consecutive seasons where he scored away at Tottenham, a run of form that eventually earned him the FWA Footballer of the Year award. Surviving the shock of the English game proved he had the grit to adapt his game. But just as he reached his summit, his body underwent a much more violent test. In March 2002, Pires ruptured his cruciate ligament, robbing him of an FA Cup final and a World Cup. The grueling recovery offered no guarantee he would ever regain the sublime technique that defined his rise. He returned 7 months later, immediately re-establishing a lethal, near-telepathic partnership with Thierry Henry. During the 2003-04 season, the pair combined for 57 goals. Pires finished as the league's leading assist provider, serving as a tactical centerpiece for a squad that became the first in over a century to finish the season unbeaten. By overcoming the trauma to his knee, he proved his technical dominance wasn't a fragile byproduct of his youth, but a skill he could maintain through sheer persistence. In 2006, the Champions League final in Paris was supposed to be his glorious farewell. It was a chance to win the only major trophy missing from his cabinet in front of his home crowd. It lasted only 18 minutes. After goalkeeper Jens Lehmann was sent off, Arsene Wenger decided to sacrifice Pires for a tactical substitution.
Pires later said the decision killed him, leaving him to watch his final game for the club from the bench. He left for Spain to join Villarreal, only to suffer a second catastrophic ACL rupture in his other knee during a preseason friendly. At 32, a second major ligament tear is almost always a signal to retire. He spent another 7 months in rehabilitation, defying the expectations of his age to return to the Villarreal starting 11. His leadership during this late career return took Villarreal to a second-place finish in La Liga, the highest in their history, famously beating out Barcelona for the runner-up spot. His time in Spain proved that his psychological stamina could outlast both the physical deterioration of his joints and the emotional weight of his departure from London. He eventually returned to England for a final stint at Aston Villa, before finishing his playing days in India as a marquee signing for the newly formed FC Goa. We often separate footballers into 2 camps: the artists who create beauty and the warriors who endure pain. We assume that one is a gift of nature and the other is a product of will. Robert Pires proved that this is a false choice. His career showed that maintaining aesthetic brilliance across 2 decades requires a level of toughness that most warriors never have to face. His legacy teaches us that true sporting elegance is earned. It is a quality forged in the quiet, ugly moments of recovery and sustained by a refusal to let the setbacks define the performance.